too high. I can't win. Get that out of the way. Okay, let me just sit here. I wanted a different angle, but whatever. If I had a couple books or something. What's good, y'all? Good evening. Good evening. Good night. Good morning. Whatever time of the day it is you may be watching this. Hello, hello. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back. This is going to be another short video. So I want to tell you guys about a conversation I had this morning with my dad. He called me this morning out of the blue. I haven't talked to my dad. It's been at least maybe 3 years. And that was a deliberate decision that I made after his son did some outlandish shit back in 2017. So he called me this morning and ended up having the awakening of his life, I'll say, to, really learn about who his daughter is and her mind state, her mindset, and her mind control. So my last video, I spoke about, and I really just played a clip from Will Smith, and I spoke about conquering your mind. If you don't control your own mind, someone else will. I heard someone say, if you don't control your mind, no one else will. Well, someone else will. I disagree with that. Someone else will absolutely control your mind. Hi there. If you don't. And they'll twist it all around, have you thinking nonsense, bullcrap. So he called me this morning and had a conversation about politics and white supremacy and, racism and all this bullcrap. Really, it was really a slave victim minded perception that he has, which I feel a lot of black people have. Now, you guys, those of you who are familiar with my channel, and especially with the Get Paid show, Get Paid series, I am an advocate, a strong advocate for accountability, holding ourselves accountable and not allowing anyone to have any type of bullshit nonsense conversation with you, period. So, a part of controlling and conquering your mind, in my opinion, in my viewpoint, is, for one, having opinions, having a viewpoint on social issues, personal issues, your own life, your own experiences, in contrast with other people's life experiences that you've seen firsthand, or just that you've heard about or read about, or whatever the case may be. So my dad had a very slave mentality, victim mentality state of mind. And everything he said, like, I completely had to keep cutting him off. For one, it's too early to have, you're interrupting my morning routine. And I strongly disagree with everything you're saying. You know what I mean? And I'm going to make that very clear that I strongly disagree. So I'm talking to him about how he asked me very directly, well, with white supremacy, whatever, what I feel the, how do we combat it, or what's the solution, or whatever. And I said, black ownership. Black ownership is how you deal with white supremacy and white supremacists, period. The fact that we don't own anything. And he also mentioned that he had read a book by a former slave who stated that from that point on, and I don't know which part of the ending of slavery, if it was when it was ended on books or um, Juneteenth, what was that, 1865 or something like that, when the last slaves were notified that they weren't slaves anymore. So I don't know which part he, was coming out of, but he said the former slave was saying from that moment on, he can't see black people in the future ever working for someone. And I said, I can believe that. He probably thought that we would be stronger from then. He didn't realize and couldn't even fathom us becoming more slaves in our mind, and us becoming more sheepish, us losing the momentum, the strength, the pride that we had to get to where we are now, to where, there's just like no respect at all for the black American, the black American specifically, because we don't want to pool our money. We don't want to think for ourselves. We don't want to not play the victim. We want to have these woe is me conversations. He said, oh, they did Bill Cosby so wrong. I said, look, Bill Cosby had a great career and he followed his purpose and his dream early on. The fact that they did this bullshit, these lying whores came out and did this bullshit in his 80s, he had a legacy 6, 7 decades, 5, 6, 7 decades of a legacy that he left for us to be inspired and motivated by. I said, now someone who doesn't follow their dream, who doesn't try to pursue their purpose in life, who doesn't try to contribute anything to humanity, and injustices happen, yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad because at no point in their short life did they ever decide to believe in themselves or pursue anything or control their own mind and conquer their own mind to get out of their own way. So you may look at Bill Cosby at 80 something years old after having a flourishing, thriving career as a woe is me. Yeah, it's fucked up for how black men are treated. But my dad is coming from one who has had his own business a couple times, but wasn't able to conquer his mind or think big enough to even grow his business. He has that slave, woe is me, victim mentality, and I could not listen to that at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't listen to it at 17, 18 in the evening. I don't want to hear that. Conquer your own mind, or you will be persuaded by um, you'll be persuaded by the just the low level thinking and vibration of other people. You know what I mean? If I was your typical black person, we would have had a great woe is me, white supremacists are ruining our lives. Oh, we can't get over the hump. Bullshit, start the morning off on the wrong foot ass conversation. And I'm just not with those types of conversations, period. How you guys doing? Wonderful, thank you. You guys know I don't have a victim mentality. I don't have the slave mentality. Black ownership is where you guys have heard me say it multiple times. And like Dame Dash say, you know how he deals with racism? He buy the fucking company and make the racists work for him. That's how he deals with racism. When you have zero power, when we don't have any type of economic power, we don't have any type of buying power, of course we're going to get treated like slaves. Of course we're going to get treated like second class citizens. We're going to get treated like fucking immigrants in the country that we were 3, 4, 5 generations born in, and not take advantage of all of the opportunities that we have in this country that we were born to, simply because We don't want to conquer our own mind. Like I told my dad this morning, do you know that I've tried to start a group economics fund? And do you know how many of the blacks that I spoke with actually wanted to join me? Zero. But then we complain about the Africans that come over here and start businesses, the Asians, that we complain about everyone else. And I've seen them. I've seen the Africans, for one, pool their money. They feel like this isn't their country, right? We feel like this is ours, and we don't do anything. We don't want to conquer what we need to conquer. Hey, what's up? I'm Blacknificent. How are you, Carmela? Welcome. And at the end of the day, you have to conquer your own mind. If you're going to progress in this life, if you're going to succeed, even at just being the best human being that you can be, having the best character, you have to control and conquer your own mind. Your mind will make you quit and give up on things when you still have more in you. Your mind will tell you that you cannot when your heart is telling you that you can. You know what I mean? Your heart sometimes will display fear when your mind wants to go for it. You have to get the two connected. They have to be aligned. They have to be so focused on the present moment that you can't live your life talking about the past. You can't live your life worried and anxious about the future. I told my dad this morning, I'm not problem focused. All we want to do is talk about the problem. We know white supremacy is a problem. What are we going to do about it? And that's why I told him, for me, black ownership is the answer. If you're black, how do you deal with white supremacy? You start owning shit. That's how. You become an owner. You believe in yourself so strongly that it doesn't matter what anyone else says. You're going to go for it. Like, you can't not do it because you have such a strong desire to do it, to see it through, to prove yourself right, that you can't not do it. And I said that so many blacks are just want to focus on the problem. Oh, white supremacy. Oh, white folks. I said, look, I have thrived during the quarantine. 2020, this entire year, has been great to me. Not once have I complained about all the shit that has happened this year. Because while it's been happening on this side and people are like, oh, 2020, I can't catch a break, I'm over here like, all my intentions are coming through. All my seeds that I'm planting, I'm seeing them bud. I have zero complaints. But I'm also solution focused. The quarantine hit. Okay, what can I do? I'm in a new place. I was just getting my groove, just getting my footing. What can I do now? How can I keep it moving? How can I still move towards my goals? I don't want to sit up and talk about Trump and Biden. Like I told my dad this morning, you realize that Trump lost to Hillary Clinton by 100,000 something votes, right? You realize that, right? This was public information that came out before the election votes were all in. They had already announced. They were showing all over CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, all over everywhere that Trump lost the general election. Well, how did he become president? The Electoral College voted him in. I told that to my dad this morning. So while all you slaves and victims want to run out and vote, I said, where will y'all be? And this is a real conversation I had with my dad just this morning. Where are you going to be in 2 years? Are you going back to vote in 2 years? Because in this country, this democracy, the president is not the end all to be all. The House and the Senate is the ones running shit. So are you going to vote in 2 years? Because that is the vote that the people's voice matters. The presidential election, we forget about what we were taught all about the legislation, the judicial system. You know, we were taught all of this in school. But then we get out, we get into the real world, and the powers that be, whose primary focus, is to keep our minds twisted and distracted on bullshit and turn where they want us to be. They tell us that the presidential election is the one that we need to be voting on. So then every 2 years, when the election comes up for new congressmen, senators, city council, mayor, we're not at those elections. We don't know these people. We're trained to just go down Democrat. We don't know who this judge is that we just marked their name. We don't even know. We don't know who the senator is that we just marked in. The people that make the decisions on the streets that affect our daily lives, we don't vote for them. So like I told my dad, don't push this slave victim mentality. You can't, I don't have these conversations. I don't watch random TV, and I'm not interested. You know what I mean? This is what I talk about. I talk about accountability. I talk about believing in yourself. I talk about controlling your own mind, controlling your thoughts, your speech, your actions, what you can control. We can't control, I don't give a fuck, Trump, Biden, whoever. Like I told my dad this morning, the white man was not at my door telling me I cannot start my business. No one prevented me from registering my business with the state of California. No one prevented me from doing that. No one prevents me from promoting my ass off. No one prevents me from contacting smoke shops, dispensaries, beauty supply stores, E40. Yes, I did. Nobody prevents me from doing that. No one prevents me from focusing on my business from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I can't blame that on anybody if I choose not to. And like I told my dad this morning, if it doesn't work, it's because I quit. It's not, shit don't just it work or it didn't work. It works when the person behind it works it and doesn't give up until the world see that now it works. You know what I mean? When I was weightlifting, people used to ask me about the sweatbands. They weren't waist trainers. They were just sweatbands around my waist. Oh, what kind of... You rather focus on what I'm wearing than what the fuck I'm doing. And then when some fat ass would email me or would message me on Facebook, what's that you wearing? And I'm talking about people that I know personally, that I've known for 20, 30 years, that I know. I'm not just calling random people fat asses. I'm talking about the fat ass people that I know. You know, hey, what's up? How's it going, lady? You know, they would email me, and when I would give them the harsh truth, which is this: it all starts in the mind. If mentally you're not ready, you're not going to do it. Secondly, your diet is more important than what I'm doing and what I'm wearing. You see how we focus on bullshit? You know what I mean? We focus on things that really aren't what is going to get the result. The action is what's going to get the result. The fact that I do contact businesses and I do email, the fact that I do promote my personal brand and my company brand all day long, every day, that is what's going to catapult me to the next level. That is what separates me from the next business owner. You know what I mean? That's what separates me from the next black woman, from the next black man. The fact that I control my mind. I have conquered my own thoughts. If a thought comes into my head that I disapprove of, I immediately get it out. I don't linger on negative thoughts. I don't allow negative, non-productive thoughts to just linger around in my head. I do not. I immediately get them out. I have zero time, energy, or space for anything that does not help me or my business grow. Period. And that included that conversation that I kept over talking my dad on this morning, because I don't want to hear this slave, been in St. Louis your whole life, never lived anywhere else ass mentality and point of view and frame of mind and mindset. You've never owned anything to the level of where you've grown. And like I told him, I said, he's talking about ownership. And see, this is a difference also in those who want to contribute. They want to become owners so that they can contribute the most freely, and those who are just selfish and just want to gain. He says, so you saying black folks owning stuff, and for their own gain. No, Dad, that's not what I'm saying. Ownership should benefit the entire world. You know what I mean? The fact that Walt Disney created Disney benefits everyone who wants to enjoy Disney. How is that selfish? How is that selfish? So my dad owned a tree trimming business or whatever. He used to cut down trees. And I said, Dad, if you could have had the mentality to grow that to a huge company to where you're employing hundreds of people. Okay, so the fact that you give people jobs, that's not productive. The fact that you are a black man that owns a company that employs people, that's not, but he never grew it to that point. He only had like, I think between one, at less than five workers, less than five helpers. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have the mentality to, like I speak about. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. That was a different mindset, being able to sell something or create and sell or buy something and sell it for more. That was a different mindset than building wealth. Building wealth is a completely different game. And you come from so many different angles and avenues to build wealth. You know what I mean? So he just comes from the mentality, and the reason why I call it a slave or victim mentality, because it was just that he was just trying to do enough to pay his bills or whatever. So he doesn't see how ownership directly puts a boot on the neck of white supremacy. He doesn't see it. But all of the black owners that are already playing with M's, that are black and proud, not the Oreos that just want to be loved by white folks so much, and they become whatever, successful financially, whatever. But the black blacks, the power proud black blacks, right? Racism doesn't quite affect them the same. And if it does, it's going to be like in Bill Cosby's case. After he'd already had a 7-decade career and influenced hundreds of thousands of blacks. I grew up on Bill Cosby is the reason why I wanted to be an OBGYN, and my cousin wanted to be an attorney. And we were 9+ years old, and this is who we were going to be because of Bill Cosby, because of the content that he put out, because he chose to pursue his purpose in life, period. Yes, it's fucked up what they're doing because he's a black man, but it's not a woe is me story. It's not a woe is me story. I feel like my dad having that slave mentality and that victim mentality, wanting to point fingers and lay blame, the white man, white supremacist, white supremacy, blah, 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 blah. What are you going to do about it? You can't get poor enough to help the poor. Talking about the problem for decades doesn't solve it. What are you going to do? Because you can't control the white supremacists. You can't. And I told him, I said, our compassion, I feel, is our biggest downfall, because our compassion allows us to dish that compassion out a little bit more towards everyone else than we do to ourselves. So we are so compassionate that we will allow our oppressor to constantly kill us and we feel like we would be wrong to stand up against the one oppressing us. See, I've never been that kind of scared to be black. I've never been that. And I told him, I said, I could never be proved, they could never prove to me that I was inferior to them. Never. So I never felt that way. I never felt inferior to white people. And I said to him, growing up around them, I've seen how cruel they are even with other white people. I've seen firsthand growing up in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the early 80s. I've seen how much white on white crime just gets breezed over. Most of it doesn't even hit the news. So you can't, I'm not the typical black. I've grown up knowing that I am an extreme, um, uh, and how do I want to say this? I've grown up knowing that I am the original human, period. Period, point blank. I'll just leave it at that. I am the original human. So just like my children could never fucking outpower me, period. Not even my ashes after being cremated. My spirit is so strong, they'll never be, nothing that I brought into this world will ever be able to overpower me. So, me being the original human being, how can I feel inferior to everyone else that came after me? Least of all, the mutants that has created this disillusion of superiority because they have nothing. So I can't focus on the problem when the problem exists within myself. And the fact that I believe in their white supremacy. What the fuck is it? What is white supremacy? You know what I mean? The problem is the fact that I choose not to focus on ownership and my nation's wealth. That is the problem, not white supremacy. What is white supremacy? What is it? You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have control over your mind, if you have not conquered your own thoughts, then the opinions of others, the bullshit that you're hearing on the news, why ever you're listening to it, the bullshit that you're hearing, all the controversy that you want to stay up to date on, for what reason, I have no idea. But all of these things influence you and affect your thoughts, your opinions, your views. You notice how a lot of shows and podcasts and just different media things will say the views expressed in this episode are not necessarily the views and opinions of, whatever the network or whatever like that. And that's how most people are. I feel like the views and opinions that they spew out of their mouth are not even their own. It's just what they've heard, what they heard someone else say. And without doing any research or formulating their own opinion based on fact or their own information, they just spew out a bunch of nonsense because apparently that's easier. I don't know. I can't relate. So I don't know if it's easier or not. All I know is for me, it's easier to control my own mind. It's easier for me to put in hard ass work for myself than to go work for someone, get off work, get home, and be so fucking wiped out that I can't even do anything to enhance myself. I can't relate. I can't relate. And I've never been able to relate to that. You know what I mean? Um, Yesterday, or it might have been this morning. I don't know. Every day I listen to things to motivate myself, and so I was listening to Les Brown, and it was a portion where he said um, he had heard it said that he had heard it said, don't follow the beaten path. What did it say? The don't follow the beaten path, go where there is no trail and leave a mark, or something like that. It was something to that effect. If you guys listen to motivational things with Les Brown, you probably heard it before. But that just reminded me of earlier this millennium when the Cheesecake Factory moved to St. Louis. We didn't have Cheesecake Factory in St. Louis, and it was somewhere between 2000 and 2002, I believe, when they moved there. And I was a part of the opening crew. I worked in the bakery. And so this was after we had gotten opened already, and we were busy all the time because it was new, a new restaurant in St. Louis. We had known it to be from California, so of course, in Midwest Missouri, we were like, "Oh, hi, we got a California restaurant here." A lot of the crew from California came to help us get it open and shit like that. So this one particular morning, I was opening, and my coworker ended up calling off. Okay, so the supervisor come let me know that I was going to be opening by myself. I believe at that time it was either when I had just got there or I was just taking the cheesecakes out, one of the two. But the very first thing I did, once she told me, I'm like, okay, cool, let me not even trip, not even trip. Their process was opening the bakery was a two-person job. Two of us opened every single morning for the bakery. So, okay, whatever. Let me just Tim Gunn, make it work, and do what I know to do. So I took the cheesecakes out the freezer first. I was dating a woman that worked in the kitchen. She was a cook there. So I utilized my resources, right? So I had her cut all of my strawberries because that was pretty time consuming. I had her cut my strawberries. Fast forward through the morning, I ended up getting the bakery fully open. That includes cheesecakes unthawed, the plain cheesecakes whipped with the frosting or whatever, everything. And I had a couple of minutes to spare to make sure everything was polished up and ready to go. And don't you know that from that day on, I can't speak for all over and I can't speak for right now, still in 2020, but back then in St. Louis, from that day on, they changed the process from a two-person bakery opening to one. And they had the kitchen then cut the strawberries. So they added work for the kitchen, which there was plenty of people in the kitchen. So every morning somebody had to cut strawberries for the bakery, and then it was only one opener. And that is pretty much what Les Brown meant by go on an empty path and leave a trail. Conquer your own mind, do what you know you can do, and challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do things that you've never done before that you're not sure if you can. And let's say you get 75% of the way through it. Try it again. That's too much of a success to just give up. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that the way I control my mind and the way I've conquered my thoughts, the way I've worked to develop myself so strongly to where my heart and my mind are on one accord all the time because I live in the present. That's why I boast all the time to you guys. Do not let people just talk anything to you. Again, that conversation could have been filled with so much bullshit this morning, and we could have just been back and forth sounding like two typical ass, victim ass black people with that woe is me, white supremacists, and all this other old bullshit. But it just couldn't go down like that. And my dad ended up saying by the end of it, I know now not to talk to you about politics. You absolutely right, you know. You know now not to talk to me with that victim mentality. You know not to talk to me with that slave-minded bullshit. You know not to come talk to me on this woe is me nonsense. I mean, I hit my dad up with everything, and it all comes back to accountability. I say, it's the same thing we do in the black community. We watch our family members one after another, like dominoes, get diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and at not one point in our life do we stop to say, maybe I need to reevaluate the bullshit I'm eating. We come from a lineage within America where our ancestors had no choice but to eat fucking scraps. And then, we are African um, descent of who we are as a people. We come from amazingly cooked food. So that's not a surprise that we can cook some fucking chicken backs and chitterlings and the shit tastes good in whoever mouth it tastes good to. But to still be eating like that in 2020, after you've had family member after family member after family member die of obesity, diabetes, fucking cancer, and all kind of bullshit, and at not one point do you choose to reevaluate any of this good tasting, acidic, carb filled nonsense, that's on us. That's on us. To in 2020 go look for restaurants, to go look for grocery stores that still sell chicken backs. That's not the fucking white man's fault that you haven't upgraded your fucking palate. It's not the fault of white supremacy. The fact that you have not chosen to reevaluate your nutrition and your diet, and you still eat like it's motherfucking 1932 and you got to go in through the kitchen door. It's not the fault of white supremacy. That's the fault of you not controlling your own mind. I'd say all the time, my mother used to always say, Shalon, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. Shalanda, think for yourself. She beat that in my head. Think for yourself. So think for yourself. Stop blaming. Hey, Dimples. Yes, good to see you. It has been a while. I haven't seen you pop up in a little bit. I'm just really on some encouragement for the day. My dad called me this morning. Haven't talked to him in a couple years, and he's just got the ultimate slave victim mentality, and I can't get with it. I can't get with that at all. And you guys know I don't believe in allowing people to have conversations or to dominate the conversation with me when it's an unhealthy, unproductive conversation. So I really did take over the conversation, um, as respectfully as I was raised to be. But I disagree with every point of view he has, except for the one where that ended the whole conversation. Not rudely, we were getting off the phone anyway, but when he ended it, he said that all the efforts of the blacks fighting for the same common goal, which is really true freedom, respect, and just to be able to live. I agree with that. But for me, the key, and not just for me, the key for many of us is ownership. The key is ownership. When you own some shit, it gives you power. It gives you power and freedom. So, and the first thing we have to own is control of our own mind, control of our actions, control of what we say, what we do, being accountable, holding ourselves accountable. Like, this is all repetition. I say the same shit every time I come on here. It may be a different preface or, a different conclusion. But it's always comes down to holding ourselves accountable and doing the fucking work. Doing the work. It don't just work, or it just didn't work. We got to stop giving up. We have to stop being so soft. You know what I mean? And stop giving so much to other things and other people and other entities that just wipe everything out from ourselves. There's no way that I have ever in my life, and you can check the throwbacks on everything. There's no time in my life where I've ever given anything or anyone more than I've given to myself. Nope, never. Never. No job can ever say, she gave us her all, because I sure the fuck did not. I sure did not. Even if I give you 10%, I'm so amazing that you're going to categorize that 10% as the best employee you have. But trust me, you only got that for shit a year. You know what I mean? 18 months. I don't have longevity at any job. The only thing I've done the longest is constantly enhance myself. It's the only thing I've done for 3 decades. Focus, focus, focus on developing myself, because that's the only way I knew I was going to be able to eventually achieve all of the aspirations that I had. That's the only way I knew I was going to be able to be here right now, is by seeking out, grasping, holding on to, and enhancing who I am. Period. That's it. For me, that was my focus, and that's what I've done the longest. Work for someone else, wake up because I chose to wake up at 4 a.m. because my mindset went towards I have to build wealth now. So for me, I chose to. Have I ever had to wake up at 4 a.m. for a job? Fuck no. Mm-mm. 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 I can't say that I wouldn't, because if that's what I had to do, and if I was on a bus, and if that's what time I needed to wake up to, then I would have. But you can mark my words, I would have been looking for another job, because that's too motherfucking early to wake up for someone else. In my opinion, for me, just like I've never worked third shift, just like I've never held 2 jobs. Fuck that. I'm not. If one can't get the shit done, why am I gonna give 2 of y'all motherfuckers my time? No, baby, I've never, even as a teenager, I've never had 2 jobs. That is a lie. I did work at 2 different YMCAs. That was the YMCA. One I was a supervisor at, and this was in my 20s after my whole family had gotten like broken up. So I opened up at the downtown Minneapolis YMCA, and I was supervisor at the Midway St. Paul YMCA. Yep, that was the only time in my life I worked 2 jobs. And that, I'll tell you guys, the YMCA that I was a supervisor at, I had keys. And when I say my family had got broken up, everything, I was now homeless at that time. My kids were staying with their paternal side of the family, which are the ones that ended up disbanding my whole family. And because I was a supervisor and had keys, I was sleeping at the YMCA. I was sleeping at my job. And I got the second job at the YMCA because I needed somewhere to be during the day. So I opened that one at 5 a.m., which was perfect because by the time I left, the one where I was a supervisor at, before the maintenance man came in, I was at work at the other one. That's the only time in my life. And that was dope, working at the YMCA. But that's the only time I've ever, ever, ever held 2 jobs. I do the most for myself. And I put the most into my business, into my companies all day long. So that's my biggest advice for you guys. Control your own mind and give the most of what you have to yourself, not to anyone else. Don't let anyone else wipe you out. And don't repeat and regurgitate information that you haven't lived firsthand, or that you haven't experienced firsthand, and that you just don't know about, you know? And don't talk to me about slave-minded victim bullshit. Don't be the victim. Don't be the victim in any scenario. Don't be the victim in any situation. Shit's gonna happen. You have no control over it. You have control over how you respond and how you get out of it. Period. That whole woe is me, or you don't think they did Bill Cosby, or how do you get out of... I couldn't get off the fucking phone fast enough this morning. I promise you. I promise you. Anyway, that was that. You're very welcome. That was that, you guys. That's really all I had. I haven't talked to my dad in a few years, so I just wanted to share that conversation. And I think just like all shit coming out of St. Louis, I think the purpose of his call was to tell me that that his eldest sister in Mississippi had passed away, whom I didn't know. But that was the purpose of his call, to tell me that somebody died. And that's really all the news that ever comes out of St. Louis, for my family. It's like when they call, somebody's dead, I'm pretty sure. And I told him, I said, St. Louis will never see me again. Well, St. Louis is at a loss. Well, baby, I knew that, and my mother knew that. That's why she took me out of St. Louis. And just the fact that he called me just to tell me that somebody died and started the conversation off with some victim slave minded bullshit about politics and nonsense. Like I told him, I've only had growth during this year. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Biden, Trump, coronavirus, China virus, whatever the fuck, I've been thriving. I've been excelling. I got shit in the works. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm working on my 2021 already. So it sucks that he's had whatever kind of 2020 he's had, but don't call me with it at 6 o'clock in the morning ever again, Pacific Standard Time, ever again with that nonsense. And he learned that this morning. So we have to teach people, no matter who they are, parent, child, whoever, we have to teach people how to talk to us, the conversations they can have with us. And this all comes from controlling your own mind, conquering your own mind and your own thoughts. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I'm going to bid you guys a wonderful night. Farewell. Thank you for tuning in with me today. It's been wonderful. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share these videos. The message in these videos, you guys, I'm sure you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who needs to hear it. So let's get it out. Let's spread the word. Let's share the wealth, share the knowledge. Each one, teach one, reach one. And again, ownership, you guys. Think ownership. Think big. Think broad. Think global. You were put here to do more than just crunch numbers behind somebody's desk, or just be somebody's fucking flunky, or just be talked to like trash, like you're a nobody, and you know what I mean, and then not get proper vacation time, not get a raise, you half-ass want to do anything. I want to end this video on this note right here. If you are an employee with aspirations of being your own boss, with aspirations of making more money, I recommend you start by doing this. For one, the next time you go to work, you give your absolute best. You give your best. If you see something that needs to be done, I would say do it. Don't wait for someone to tell you. Don't wait for a supervisor or manager to come and ask you to do it. Do it. And then go and let the supervisor or manager know that, okay, I saw this and I took care of it. Start taking the initiative. Start setting the standard. Be the reason that they increase the standard. Whatever the standard is, you be the standard. Instead of saying, this ain't my job, I don't get paid to do that, think about it as if it was your company. You would do it if it was your company, because it's your company. Why are you going to wait for someone else to do some shit that it's your responsibility to have done? You know what I mean? So just do it. Take the initiative. Be accountable for what you bring to that company. That is going to show leadership. That shows that you could be a great owner of your own whatever someday. But that whole victim employee mentality of this ain't my job, I don't get paid to do that, That's not what I was hired for. That is the reason why you haven't had a raise. That's the reason why you're still making minimum wage. That's the reason why you have very little vacation time. Go the extra mile on the job that you're in. Even if your ultimate goal isn't ownership, if you want to go up, if you want to be the CEO of the company, if you want, let's say you only aspire to be the manager, the general manager, the district manager, these positions, these levels of responsibility requires someone who's going to take initiative and hold themselves accountable. Period. So you want to level up, it starts with you. Everything starts with you. Everything starts with the man in the mirror. It doesn't matter what it is. You're not going to get a raise when you're coming to work late every day. You're calling off 2 and 3 times a month. You're not going to get a raise to be given more money, more responsibility, so that you can then start coming in on time, so that you can then start doing your job. No, you have to give first. You have to give that initiative. Show that you are a leader. Show that you are accountable. Show that you are responsible. Then you'll be able to get the raise. Then you'll get more responsibility. Then you'll be able to increase and grow. But you don't receive first and then you give. That's not even how the law of the universe works. You have to give. It's better to give than to receive. That's not some religious bullshit. These are the laws of nature. You have to give. These are the laws of the universe. That's why in every entrepreneur, anything, any motivational self-development, anything, they say if you want to succeed, help as many other people achieve their goals, and you will. You will. The universe will help you achieve yours. The universe will send you people to help you achieve yours. Will send you opportunities that are specific to you and where you're trying to go. The more selfish you are with your time, with your knowledge, with sharing your information, the more selfish the universe is going to be with your blessings, with your gifts, with your everything you claim you want to have. So give, and then you will get it back in return tenfold. That's the fact. So take it for whatever it's worth to you. Leave it if it's not worth anything. And still hit that subscribe button. Still click that bell so you know when I go live. Still comment. I want to hear your thoughts and views on the shit that I say, and how I rep my brand, because this is my brand. This is my personal brand, my business, everything. We are all in one accord. All of us crazy Libras wrapped up into this one little brown body. You feel me? So you guys have a wonderful night. I'm out of here. I'll see you on the next video, and stay elevated. Peace.